Every person in this story was seconds away from dying, until something unbelievable happened. From a bus hanging above a skyscraper to a man sucked into an airplane engine, these are the craziest rescue moments ever caught. A man experienced his first bus ride. Suddenly, he witnessed what felt like the Holy Mother of God herself. As the fire department arrived, everyone's expressions looked exactly like the third meme in your collection. The bus was hanging hundreds of meters above a tall building. The firefighters split into two groups. One group began rescuing the passengers inside the bus, while the other rushed to the rooftop to secure the vehicle with ropes. One passenger could no longer endure the pain and pulled a shard from his leg, causing severe arterial bleeding. A man quickly removed his belt and used it as a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, firefighters descended from above and hooked the bus to stabilize it. Shockingly, they discovered people trapped underneath the bus. However, because of the vehicle's weight, they had to prioritize rescuing the passengers inside first to reduce the load. As more passengers were rescued, firefighters on the rooftop prepared to tilt the bus by 30 degrees using special equipment. Seeing the opportunity, others quickly pulled the injured man out and rushed him to the hospital. Another man was peacefully sunbathing on the beach when suddenly lightning struck the sand around him. Shockingly, the sand on his body turned into glass, and blood began pouring from beneath it. When firefighters arrived, the man's blood pressure was rapidly dropping due to massive blood loss. Their first priority was to dig him out as fast as possible. Carefully, they chipped away the hardened glass, terrified they might injure him even more. As they dug deeper, they discovered a sharp piece of glass had pierced his femoral artery. The extreme heat from the lightning strike had temporarily sealed the wound, slowing the bleeding. They quickly bandaged him while continuing to remove the sand. But just as they were about to rescue him completely, his arms suddenly began bleeding again, horrifying his wife and son who were watching nearby. The team immediately applied a tourniquet and performed emergency first aid, ultimately saving his life. Elsewhere, a man lifted his girlfriend high and placed her on a balcony railing. Just as things were getting romantic, the woman suddenly slipped and fell. Miraculously, the woman managed to grab onto a billboard. When firefighters arrived, they realized she was hanging too high for the ladder truck to reach. Rescue cushions were useless at that height. The firefighters split into two teams. One team moved into the building below her to remove a window and attempt to rescue from inside. The other team headed to the rooftop to lower rescuers down with ropes. But then a firefighter noticed the rope securing the billboard was beginning to snap. Time was running out. The team from above was descending rapidly, while the glass below had already been removed. However, the woman kept moving in panic, putting even more stress on the rope. Just as a rescuer prepared to throw safety gear toward her, the rope finally gave way. Everyone gasped. Somehow, unbelievably, the woman survived. She immediately hugged her rescuer, unable to believe she had made it out alive. A social media influencer decided to glue himself to a billboard to gain followers. Next to him, he placed a QR code so people could scan and follow his account. When firefighters arrived, they extended a ladder to rescue him. But the influencer refused to come down. He claimed he had spent a fortune renting the billboard for a full 24 hours and planned to stay there until the final second. Soon, a policewoman arrived and confirmed that he really had paid for the billboard legally. To prevent him from smashing onto the concrete below, firefighters quickly inflated rescue cushions underneath him. But after some time, the tape holding him to the billboard began peeling away. A firefighter rushed up the ladder to save him, but it was too late. Suddenly, the man fell completely naked, leaving everyone staring in absolute disbelief. At 1:30 a.m., a desperate man carried his wife into a fire station upside down. He explained that if she was turned upright, her heart would immediately stop beating. The firefighters were confused. They checked her pulse and blood pressure, and everything appeared normal. At first, they thought it might be a prank. The husband explained that they had been doing yoga when his wife suddenly collapsed. CPR didn't work, but strangely, every time he flipped her upside down, her heartbeat returned. The woman then realized the issue might involve her pacemaker. Firefighters quickly discovered a wiring problem with the device. The only solution was to rush her to the hospital immediately. But there was one huge problem. At the airport, a luggage worker urgently needed to use the restroom. In a rush, he shoved luggage into a cart and accidentally jammed a bag against the accelerator pedal. The luggage cart suddenly sped out of control. Another worker tried desperately to stop the airplane from moving while the cart spun wildly across the runway. In panic, the driver overturned the runaway cart. Thinking the disaster was over, he relaxed for a second, but then the airplane turbine behind him sucked him straight into the engine. Firefighters rushed to the scene. Everyone assumed the man was dead, but then someone noticed his foot twitch slightly. The captain immediately ordered a rescue operation. Crews removed the engine cover and dismantled the turbine blades. Amazingly, the blades had bent around the man, leaving him alive with only minor injuries. It turned out that several sticks lodged inside the turbine had slowed the blades enough to save his life. Another man made the mistake of buying his girlfriend the wrong gift. What happened next horrified everyone. The woman excitedly opened the present, expecting a ring or necklace. Instead, she found a cheap box of chocolates. Her expression changed instantly. She angrily asked why he hadn't bought her a ring. The man casually replied, "Who buys a ring right after meeting someone?" That response pushed her over the edge. She had spent the entire day preparing for the date, cooking food, and dressing up, only to receive chocolates. Things got even worse when the boyfriend admitted he had several other dates planned that same night. Moments later, neighbors called the police after hearing violent noises from inside the house. When a female officer arrived, the woman claimed her boyfriend had already left. But during the inspection, the woman suddenly pulled out a gun and tied the officer up. Nearby, terrified cries for help could be heard. The officer soon discovered another woman tied up inside the house, the boyfriend's second date. The attacker had completely lost control. Using quick thinking, the officer distracted the woman while secretly loosening her restraints. Then, at the perfect moment, she broke free and smashed a nearby bottle against the attacker. Just then, the boyfriend's third date arrived at the house. If the officer hadn't intervened, the situation could have ended in tragedy. Finally, in a morgue, a forensic examiner prepared to perform an autopsy on a corpse. Suddenly, the body twitched. Then the dead man grabbed the examiner's arm and took a deep breath. Terrified, the examiner fainted. The electric saw in his hand slipped and sliced deep into his thigh. As the rescue team treated him, they discovered the wound looked worse than it actually was. Thankfully, the artery had not been hit. But the bigger mystery remained. How did the dead man come back to life? Doctors later discovered he suffered from an extreme form of narcolepsy that caused him to enter a death-like state. This was already the third time he had been mistakenly declared dead.